Hello folks, do hope you're all well. So the snooker tour rolls on. I think they're in Leicester this week after the Masters over the weekend. And the big stink over the comments made by Ronnie O Sullivan towards Ali Carter after what ended up being not the most pleasant of finals. There's been a bit of bad blood there for many a year now, and I think it spilled over after the game over the weekend. Ronnie said some really, some would say nasty and hurtful things. It's being looked at by the powers that be, and I think he may be in some trouble. But overnight, Ali has responded to them, and I'll read it to you later for those that don't know. But I think one of the things that happened in the final, I think at the end of it, and I didn't watch it, Carter was complaining about many of Ronnie's fans making noises and cheering and what have you during his own shots. He didn't like that. He's also said, Ronnie O Sullivan, he called it snotted on the floor. I think he means holding a nostril, as they do in football, blowing it and leaving it on the floor. I'm not so sure TV cameras have picked this up, but I have read comments by various people, because I've looked into it, that say they did see it happen. And they did see a bit later, he gets it with his shoe and he grinds it into the carpet. Ali Carter's supposed to have seen this and mentioned it, and I think that's what really has made Ronnie throw his doll out of the pram. It was only 3 or 4 days earlier that Ronnie was saying, I'm all about cleanliness, this is massive to me. The Alexander Palace, it's a crap venue, it's old, it's dirty, it's cold. When you come in, he said, from leaving your car, you've got to go past all bins with all food hanging out of them everywhere. He said, I'm all at ADHD, I'm all about, is that cleanliness? I think it is. I'm all about cleanliness and tidiness. Mind you, reading things last night about him that I didn't know, well, a couple of things I've seen, they said, Ronnie, cleanliness and tidiness, what's all that about? He's regularly picking his teeth, regularly. He said, there's many times when he thinks the camera's been off him, you've seen various fingers very close to his nostrils, I think insinuating that he picks his nose. He said, and also, and I read again in different comments, I didn't know this, he's regularly at tournaments, farting, usually in front of referees because he thinks it's funny. Sometimes he does it to try to make them laugh or to put them off. I don't know what referees would find funny about that. Depending on what I did the night before, they might not find it funny at all. It might not smell very nice. I didn't know many of the professional players actually did this and thought it was funny. But I've read that Ronnie does. I don't know if it's true, but I've read it. I have read it. It may or may not be true. So people are saying, well, he does it plenty of farting at tournaments. He messes around near his nose. He's regularly picking his teeth. Doesn't strike of cleanliness. Anyway, as I say, Ali Carter's response last night was this. They're both in another tournament this week. I think it's in Leicester. I've just seen Ronnie's press conference this morning, funnily enough, before doing this. He said, I'm here. He said, I shouldn't have come. I don't know why I've come. I'm not really bothered about coming. He said, I'm here anyway and I'll do my best now, but I wish I hadn't so bothered. He won yesterday. I think so did Carter. I think I read yesterday, if they were to meet again, it would be in the final. Should they both get to the final, we'll have part 2. I'm not so sure they will both get there, the mood that they're both in. But Ali Carter yesterday, after Ronnie started his video, I ended it with that to Ali Carter, and I had a lot of bad things to say, most of them beginning with F. Ali says, look, Ronnie is mentally ill. He says, I feel he is mentally unwell. He said, what else did he say? He said, I actually feel a bit sorry for him. I don't think he's all that well mentally. He says different things on different days. I don't even think he knows what's going to come out of his mouth on certain days. And I've got to concur with that. I mean, I said something on here yesterday. We've had a few Ronnie lovers jump down my throat, which I understand many love him. I still maintain he's the greatest player there's ever been. I mean, if I was disagreeing with that sentiment, you'd know I knew absolutely nothing about snooker and nothing about sport. You can't argue with what you can see, what your eyes tell you, but also the numbers, the figures. He's the best he's ever been. I said something tongue-in-cheek yesterday about Higgins, saying, oh, they're letting Ronnie get away with this, that and the other. They used to ban Higgins and all he did was pee in pots and headbutt people. And somebody said, do you really think Ronnie's saying what he said yesterday is worse than Higgins headbutting someone? Of course I don't. It was a joke. Of course it was a joke. But no, at the end of the day, he's pushing and pushing and pushing. Ronnie, he constantly pushes, and in the end, I think it's going to come unstuck for him. They want him in the tournaments, they need him there. He is the biggest draw, he is the best player. But I'm sure there'll come a time when Ern just thinks, I've had enough, I've really just had enough. He's in the press constantly, he's having a go at us constantly, he's calling us constantly, and we're letting him get away with murder. We give him this little fine, that little fine, it's not shutting him up. I think within the next sort of 12, 18 months he'll be gone if he doesn't watch his P's and Q's. It's not what I want, because when I'm watching the World Championships, you want the best there. and Ronnie O Sullivan is the best. He is box office. But I, like Ali Carter, worry about him sometimes because he'll say one thing one day and the next day he'll say something totally different, and he's forgotten what he said the previous day. I do think his brain doesn't engage. Whatever comes out of his mouth just comes out of his mouth. It goes in his head, out his mouth, then he's forgotten what he said. Anyway, that's Ali Carter's response. He thinks he's mentally unwell, and I'm not 100% sure that I disagree with that. Anyway, that's it from me.